My guest today is Dr. Huizenga. Am I saying it right?
That's right on the money.
You're the man. You actually are my doctor, aren't you?
I am. It's quite an honor to be in the same room with you, though. I have to admit, quite a presence.
Thank you. Did you, and you've taken my shirt off, you've touched me up and done all kinds of things. Did you do the finger thing? I'm not sure. You did?
I did, but I try to forget that.
Yeah. Does that just come like...
That comes naturally. It's kind of like when we start out as medical students, you're doing an autopsy on a formaldehyde corpse. The scent is just oozing out. And the first time, your stomach, and then by basically the third time, you're eating an Oreo cookie in one hand and you're, doing the autopsy with the other. So you get used to almost anything. Wow.
And you love doing what you do?
I have the greatest job in the world. Great people, and that's what makes it interesting. Patients like you, what's there not to love?
Exactly. Now, let me ask you something.
It'd be nice if you followed some of my advice, but other than that, I have no complaints.
Well, I'm trying to. I've got me. I actually got me pill here. Me. What is the one for blood sugar? I just had it. The metformin.
Metformin. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, before we go into that, I know some people who actually died from cancer because they wouldn't let anyone touch them, put the finger up the thing.
It's insane because,
it's crazy, right?
Yeah, there are certain cancers like colon cancer, like prostate cancer. They're right there. If you ignore it, if you put your hand over your eyes and you put your head in the sand, why die from a cancer that's preventable? We got enough stuff that's going to kill us without letting things that are treatable go by.
Yeah. Is it just because they just can't stand the thought of anyone else touching them?
Oh, there's phobias. The people have fears. But, we'd like to assuage their fears and let them do the right thing and let medicine do what it can. It can't do everything, but some things we do really well.
Yeah. Do you think it seems like a lot of people get cancer in one form or another? Prostate, colon. What's the most common cancer?
Well, the most common cancer is lung cancer. Prostate cancer is very, very common. But, we have to stop smoking cigarettes, and that cancer will go way, way down.
Is that the number one cause for cancer, smoking?
Absolutely. It's the number one cause of death. It's the number one toxin. It's the number one preventable cause of early death. So if we can make a move on that, we're way out in front.
I've been off cigarettes now for 15 years, and someone says that's when it comes back and bites you in the arse. Is that true?
No, usually the side effects, the deleterious effects of cigarettes start really waning after a couple of years, and after 5-10 years it's probably gone. But I tell patients, if you can quit cigarette smoking, better to quit cigarettes and never see another doctor the rest of your life than to continue to smoke and see doctors, because it's that toxic.
Yeah. Well, when you think about it, when I used to smoke, I never looked at it for what it was, but it's ridiculous, putting smoke in your lungs all day long. You know what I mean? It makes no sense.
Well, it's crazy, but we do a lot of crazy things, but it's an addiction, and you don't have full control over some of the things you do. It's like it's crazy the way we eat. It's crazy the way we sit all day. But, some of these things are ingrained habits, and it takes a lot of work to pull your way out of it and do the right thing for your body.
Yeah. Now, these other cigarettes that all these kids are smoking, these vapes and all that, is that just as bad? What's in that stuff?
Well, it's another form of nicotine that they take in, but in terms of just reproducing that cigarette kind of, lip on, substance, in terms of the type of, and the dose of the nicotine, it looks like it probably doesn't really let people quit cigarettes. It's a little bit overhyped, probably better than cigarettes, but it's probably not the way we want people to get off cigarettes.
Yeah. It is amazing that whoever invented, like, let's say back in Sir Walter Raleigh was bringing over tobacco leaves from wherever he was getting them from. He was bringing them back to England. Is real tobacco leaves any better than, obviously the cigarettes these days got 1,000 chemicals in them.
Well, there's no question the cigarette companies figured out how to make that tobacco much more addictive and much more potent, and they put other chemicals in it. So yes, the original cigarettes probably weren't nearly as toxic as modern day cigarettes.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
they put the filter in. That was a little bit of a scam too. It's a question of how deeply you inhale and how much you hold it. And people did low tar nicotine, and that was a scam. So no, I think things have gone down from the Virginia original days they were shipping that tobacco in.
Yeah. And weed, is that just as bad?
Well, I think probably marijuana. It's a dose thing. You're still sucking in toxins, but delta 9 THC, the active ingredient, is probably on the level of alcohol in terms of toxicity. It wasn't a reason to get jailed for 20 years like we used to. But I'm against all drugs, but marijuana is probably on the level of alcohol. I don't think either one is better or worse.
Yeah. Don't you think that there's too many people in the world that... So I never discourage people from smoking. I'm like, go on, keep smoking, kill yourself. There's too many people in the world.
I don't think we're allowed to say that as doctors.
But you think it's funny. But it's true, though. There's a lot of people. And like you say, a lot of humans do crazy things. And I'm like, go on, you want to shoot dope? You go ahead.
Well, I'm Steve. I'm in the same feeling. I believe all drugs should be legalized. I think cocaine, marijuana, heroin, it should all be legal. We should monitor it. We should tax the heck out of it. But it should be legal, and we should use all that tax money to educate people not to do it. But I think this whole thing about you're prohibited to do it is all, so much cockamamie legislation.
So you think like like back in the Prohibition days, when you banned it, it
doesn't work.
It made it worse, right?
Doesn't work. I don't think any of these substances, by banning it, I don't think that's the right route. I think you got to educate. You got to make kids not want to do it. Same with cigarettes. Banning it's not the right way.
Like, let's say, for instance, I mean, you smoke enough weed, you're not on the ball, right? Should you be driving when you're like stoned?
I don't think you should drive, and you're not that great at school either, and that's why, unfortunately, some of the kids that use it, they're impairing their own education. But again, you are with alcohol, you're with a number of substances. You are if you don't sleep right. So there's a lot of things that could be made better.
But if you're like, let's say you're stoned on weed and you haven't been drunk and you get pulled over by the cops because you're swaying all over the place, and he looks at you and he don't smell any weed. Maybe you chewed a cookie, I don't know, and then he takes a breathalyzer and the breathalyzer says nothing. How can you breathalyze weed or if you're nodding out on heroin?
Weed is easy to breathalyze because you do a blood test for it, and then you can get the level of the delta 9 THC component. So marijuana you assess by a blood test. You don't do that by a breath test.
But you have to go to the station to do it.
Correct.
You can't do it right there and then.
That is correct.
Yeah. Interesting. This is fascinating. Thanks for all your insight.